for you, Sutton, personally, what was the connection of the inner work, personal development, and business development? What does that mean in your life?
I mean, for me, honestly, that's the most important part. That's where it all happens. And it really started for me when I realized that's what I had been missing the whole time. Because
Hmm.
I had, full transparency here, I had been in what seemed to be an infinite loop of, well, let's try this thing. Oh, well, it's not working. Oh, well, I listened to this. They said, they have the magic key. I can make 10K in my sleep without lifting your finger. So I'm going to go try that. Oh, I didn't get the results that I want. Well, maybe that wasn't the right thing. Maybe I didn't want it bad enough. Maybe I didn't work hard enough for it. Maybe there is something wrong with my mindset. And so I go down another rabbit hole,
Yeah.
looking and maybe making, some progress, but end up right back in the same spot eventually because it was never about all of those things. And
Hmm.
especially for me, I already have a background in business. I have, the degrees and the certifications and all that. And so I didn't trust myself.
Yeah.
I didn't trust myself that I knew the answers, even though I know all the marketing strategies and I'm good on all of that. But none of it was working because I didn't trust myself to know that, okay, trust your intuition about what you should be doing. Even if it doesn't look like what everybody else is doing, that's okay. And I think it's so easy to get in that trap. And it brings me to what I wanted to touch on earlier, because you had mentioned it when you said when you're working with your clients and really getting them back to themselves and their bigger vision and what that means. I think we've reached a point in human civilization, I will say, at least modern human civilization, where the chickens have come home to roost in terms of the logic and the reason. You know, Centuries ago, that was the big epiphany, allegedly, that we're
Yes.
going to focus on being reasonable. Logic, does it make sense with science and mathematics? But that only gets you so far in the human experience because we are
Yeah.
so much more than what we see physically. And
Hmm.
that physical is just a manifestation of what is going on inside. And so now people have reached to a point, whether it's their business, their career, their personal life, we're just going based off what you see is not enough. And then even some of what you're feeling is manufactured based on the physical. So now we have to peel back those layers and find out, okay, what does this all mean? And people are
Yes.
searching for more. And to bring it back to business, they're not able to find those answers sometimes, even if they are making a lot of money. There's people who are making a lot of money and they are not happy. They are working themselves down to the bone
Exactly. Hmm.
because something is off. So these are the
Hmm.
conversations that I think need to be had.
Hmm. Yes, yeah, I completely resonate with that. And at this point, we cannot, as you said, we cannot go back to old ways. Like there is this powerful force that is pushing us towards the next level, which is actually that the fully embodied leadership. And when we try to go back, actually, that's when we become drained. That's when we fall into burnout and disconnection, and that's where the unhappiness, the emptiness, the confusion is. Right? This is like the old way, as you beautifully said, of doing things from the mental, from in a rational way, and just trying to rationally, right, lead. And that is just not, in my opinion, that's not sustainable. Like it can be there for a while and it's needed from time to time in a certain amount, but for that to be our driving force, like that just doesn't work. And for me as well, I mean, similarly as you explained, it was this journey back to the essence, the journey back to um, the why. And also in there is our inner genius. That's where the inner genius is, right? It's not in the, as you said, strategies. Strategies are just tools, just the ways in which we can organize things in order to operate effectively. But, they're not the point, nor they are right, all of the trends and, different, as you said, you were also circling in a way and, thinking that there is something wrong and that there is something wrong with you, while essentially it's that trust, it's that, yeah, only you can make a certain strategy work, or whatever strategy you choose, it's going to work if you are aligned with yourself, like literally, whatever, whatever, I don't know, platform we pick as entrepreneurs, it's going to work if we are in sync with ourselves and we know why we are doing what we are doing, and we are fulfilled and we feel that joy and we feel that drive. Now, interesting thing for me is I expected that joy and that drive to be there all the time. It was like a myth
Mm.
that was sold to us, and that's this a paradigm of, oh, you start coaching, you do your business, and it's complete freedom, and it's joy, and it's easy, and it's like, take this offer, it's
It's like
perfect.
that pharmaceutical commercial, right? Where you take the pill and everything is just
Exactly.
perfect.
And I didn't even realize that I bought into that.
Hmm.
And that actually I thought every time there is some heaviness or some, density or whatever, like I'm doing something wrong. This is not right. Or, sales are slow, like, oh, I shouldn't be even doing this, all of that. Well, essentially now I know that those ebbs and flows are just a natural part of business, of life. As you said at the very beginning, like life is going to be intense, dynamic. Things are going to change. It's like that all of the time. And when I understood that, then, I found it a little bit funny and, interesting that I got into this myth, really a myth. Like if you are your own, you're a business owner, you are your own creator and leader and everything, it just flows. And if it doesn't flow, something is wrong, you are not for that, that's the wrong strategy or whatever. And it's this beautiful, for me, it was finding that beautiful balance between, yes, connecting to myself, yes, connecting to my business on a spiritual soul level, but also accepting the fact that every strategy, every approach needs time in order to flourish. It's like planting a seed into the earth, and then you're watering it with your presence, with your consistency, with your love. And in time it grows, but you cannot control when that will happen. And it's that beautiful blend of physical and metaphysical, where at the end things happen in divine timing. They're not in our control. And what is in our control is to take care of ourselves, be mindful of our own presence and our choices, and really just watering what we have initiated and believing in it. Now, I would love to know, what were some ways that maybe you could recommend that were helping you when you were coming back into trust? So how was that journey for you? And what helped you in that, right, that remembrance and coming back into trusting yourself?
For me, it was honestly like in those moments where it's like, okay, this is not working. Where's the evidence? Right? It was really about,
Yeah.
well, how do you know that it's not working? What if it
Mm.
is? Because we always want to default to, the negative. Like
Yes.
it's not this, or, this bad thing is happening or is going to happen. But what if that's not true? What if it's actually working and
Mm.
that I'm not allowing it to? It's like that old adage, a watched pot never boils.
Yes.
Just sitting there waiting for it to happen. Okay, it's not happening. And then going into fix it mode.
Mm.
That was huge for me. Constantly wanting to find something to fix. Or if that there was a point where things started to become easy when I started changing my strategy. And, it would be an hour and then I'm done for the day. It's like, wait a minute, that's not enough. You're lazy, right?
Yes.
You need to be doing more. And then catching myself. For me, I guess what I'm trying to say is self aware. I was already self aware, but going deeper into that self awareness, not on the
Mm.
superficial level, Like, I think
Yeah,
we talk about self-awareness all the time, but it's really superficial. Like, oh, I'm aware of my emotions right now. But are you aware of why those things are happening? Why are you feeling the way that you're feeling in that moment? And that was key for me. And being able to walk myself out of that and having these experiences, it has helped me beyond business. And I think that's something else our listeners need to understand. Yes, we're talking about the context of this in business, but it transcends your entire life.
definitely.
It's
Mm.
even going to change how you show up in your relationships. Um, and it's even going to change how you show up in your life, you know?
Mm.
And again, just the trajectory that we are on in the world, everything is emotional, right? We're constantly being told to react and be reactive to things. But what does all of that mean? Like if you were to sit and ask someone, okay, why are you upset about this thing?
Mm.
Probably not even going to be able to tell you.
Yeah.
And so to be able to master your emotions, first understanding that it's okay to feel how you feel. Let's have that, let's honor that. But what's really going on?
Mm.
And are those emotions causing us to make decisions? And so when we bring it back to our business, if you post a piece of content, for example, and it's been 5 minutes and no one's responded, are we going to spiral? Or are we just going to let it do its thing? And if we
Mm-hmm.
come back the next day and it hasn't done what we wanted it to, that's okay. Because I think that's huge. And we don't talk about that in business is that, like you said, it's not always going to be cotton candy and rainbows, but that is okay. That doesn't mean that you don't have momentum. I had a conversation with my client the other day. She's like, oh, the sales have slowed down. I've lost momentum. I said, well, wait a minute. That doesn't mean that you've lost momentum. Momentum doesn't always equate to sales.
Yes.
There things to be moving and the sales are not there just yet. Is our end goal just sales? Because that's going to be a problem long term. That's not sustainable either. You will reach a plateau if it's just about sales being the end goal,
Mm.
right? So just refocusing all of that. And, being an entrepreneur, we're not taught these things, right? We're not set up with thinking about mastering your emotions and, real self-awareness, even though a lot of these are buzzwords now, but
Yeah.
we weren't taught those things. And so when you're coming into entrepreneurship and you're like, okay, sales are not coming in, it's slow. I suck at what I do. We're just going to shut it all down. You didn't have to worry about that in a 9 to 5. Even those things were still happening behind the scenes. You were at your desk doing your thing. Other people were worried about the quota and the numbers. But
Mm.
now all of that onus is on you.
That
So that's why I
responsibility.
think, yeah, so that's why I think it's key to really be good with yourself and who you are.
Mm. And I believe
Because
that a huge part of what you mentioned, sorry, you wanted to say something else? Go ahead.
I was just going to say, because it won't last.
Mm.
Even if you do get to 7 figures, even if you're making 7 figures right now, none of it will last if you're a mess. If you're
Mm.
always caught up in those ebbs and flows instead of trying to stay neutral.
Mm.
And even in life,
Yes. Mm.
we're better off staying neutral. That doesn't mean that we are lacking empathy or, emotion or anything like that, but staying centered so that we can make the best decisions. And
True.
especially as a parent, I can definitely speak to that. I'm
Yeah.
I'm not helpful if I'm just reacting emotionally all the time. I can't assess the situation properly. We can't do that in our businesses either.
Mm.
You're going to be attaching your self-worth to this. And it's just going to be, yeah, I see it a lot. I see it a lot where entrepreneurs are just like, oh, I put this offer out there and no one's buying. That says something about me. Well, no, it doesn't. But why do you think that it says something about you? There's other things going on here that need to be addressed in order for you to be resilient enough to keep going out there and keep showing up that you are supposed to be here, because people are going to resonate with that. And that also comes into when you are attracting clients who are missing. You're putting something out there that is attractive to people. Let's get to the bottom of that. Sorry, that was long.
No, it's wonderful. No, it's wonderful. I just wanted to connect it to actually what you mentioned. It's really important how social media also influenced this a lot. That hunt and hunger for dopamine that we get from likes and comments, which are essentially vanity metrics. And I've heard
Vanity
that
metrics. Yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah, it is. And it's really, many people get caught into this because, again, to a part of our brain, right, for the dopamine hit, it's really, really satisfying when we get attention through social media. And this is a chemical thing. This is a
That's what it was
neurochemical
designed for.
like, give it to me, right? We are hungry.
Yeah.
And it's this sense of connection and being, belonging to a certain community, whatever, the audience, and then we get caught into this. And I heard so many times from high-level entrepreneurs that are connected to themselves, that are really nourishing that relationship they have with themselves first. And many times they said, like, many of my sales came from my posts that had one like, or maybe no comments at all, that were maybe very low reach. Like maybe they reached, I don't know, 50 people or something like that. But those people were, the right people. And that was the audience that really needed their service. And instead of liking and commenting, they went in their DMs and booked. And that's what happens when people want to buy something from you. They go to your web page, to your DMs, to your, maybe like what I have, like membership landing page or whatever, and they sign up, they buy, they get into the conversation. So what we see when it comes to likes and comments, it can be really useful for sure. Let's say if someone is running, I don't know, a giveaway or something like that, then yeah, it's beautiful. The visibility, it's awesome. It's expanding the reach, wonderful, but it really doesn't have to relate and to be connected with actual connection and conversion and the transformation of those clients in whatever sense, right? Whatever the service or product you are offering. And yeah, and that the thing when we get caught in that, I mean, it's sneaky, right? It's sneaky. I think that all of us in some periods of our life and as business owners got, kind of like this how to say, fisherman's net, right? And we got caught into it of like, oh, nobody's watching my content, always just, it's so quiet in here. So for an example, I just recently launched a new YouTube channel. And my intention for that YouTube channel is to really target a narrow niche. So these are, as I explained, entrepreneurs that are successful in their business, yeah, but they feel empty. They feel like they're disconnected. They do not have that connection with their inner genius, and that this could really propel them forward powerfully. And, it's that really, really, it's mostly online entrepreneurs. Like it's really, like right here. And I'm like, I expect that my videos will have 200, 300, 500 views or whatever. I do not expect them to go viral because they're not meant for everyone, right? No, everyone will not relate to them. Everyone will not click it to see them, right? And I have prepared myself, as you said, I have prepared myself, had this conversation with myself. And I said, well, right, this is going to look different from everything you're seeing about YouTube channel creators that are really big, etc. Those strategies might not relate to you now because you are really niching down and you are being focused on that particular group of people that are having a particular kind of problem and want a particular kind of thing, like it's very particular. But I had to have this conversation with myself to let myself know, like, yeah, it's okay. As you said, it's okay, right? It's going to be different. Maybe it's going to be quiet. Maybe it won't. Doesn't matter. But do not cling to numbers. Like, keep your mission in your mind. Do your thing, and just let, as you said, let the universe, the life, do its thing and connect you to right people. and just letting that control go. But it is a process, because there is a part of us that is hungry for attention, for validation, and that's natural. That's what I'm really wanting to point right here, because it's natural. It's chemistry, right? We need that. And then, instead of chasing that on social media and through our business, we can nourish that need and satisfy that need through personal relationships, through family and friends, and really the environment where we are respected, seen, heard, loved, etc. And that really correlates with what you said about neutrality in business, and having that point of, I am a little bit distant in a positive and a good way, and all of the ebbs and flows and slow months and low engagement weeks or months or even years sometimes, like, they do not necessarily mean anything about my mission, about my work. And I love those examples of, I think I don't know how many billionaires that were really unsuccessful for years in their business before they exploded. It's the story of Amazon, it's the story of Apple, it's the story of many, many entrepreneurs and companies where it was really like a dead season for years. People rejecting them, ridiculing them, saying that they are too, crazy, that their ideas are, just, crazy, insane. And then in time, they were persistent and they remained like, this is my vision. I'm going for it. They cried, through some of those days for sure. And they kept on, they remained on their path, and later on became, a planetary, revolution in a way. So it's really about that, about, again, that balance. Whatever you want to share now, and we can just flow with the conversation.
There's so much here. There's so much here. I want to touch on what you said before about the YouTube channel. Second of all, shout out your YouTube channel, because I want to subscribe to it and support you. I'm sure it's going to be amazing. And I think for a lot of us who came online to start our businesses, we got caught up in this content creator wave, if you will, because the marketing strategies that were taught have been very cookie cutter.
Yes.
Because they were targeted towards content creators, people who wanted to make a living creating content.
Well
I think
said,
as a business owner, we have to check ourselves, when we're talking about the engagement and the views and the reach and the algorithm and the hacks and all that stuff. That's great for people who their bread and butter is making videos every day, all day.
And the views,
Your
getting views.
Yeah, that's how they make their money, they're micro influencers in this thing. The views, the reach, they need that.
Yes,
to put
yes.
food on the table, right? But as a business owner, the function for social media for you is different.
Yes.
And being aware of that. And it comes back to, again, being solid in who you are, right? Because it's easy to go down that path again. Oh, the reach, and I got to post this many times a day, and I got to, nobody has time for that, but then we put that on ourselves. So remembering what you're here for. Are you here to get the likes and views, or are you here to, change lives? Are you here to create something that's bigger than you?
Yeah, so let's not forget about in-person events and networking opportunities and connecting with people personally. I believe that online world, the digital world, social media in general, it really created this, again, it's an illusion that business is primarily and marketing should be done through online channels. It's just one of the channels, right? It is just one of the ways.
Channels. You're so much more than what's on that screen. And you mentioned, some of the famous rags to riches stories when it comes to entrepreneurship. And it's like before, social media came, everybody knew this. Like, this was just the standard of how business goes,
Yes.
It's not always going to be easy, but somehow when everybody came online, and now all of a sudden it's like, oh, it's been 3 months and you haven't made $10,000. Something's wrong with you.
Yes, yes. But we get caught up in that. I mean,
Hmm.
because yeah, we want to grow our business, and it's a huge, again,
Absolutely.
drive and a need, like a legit need. Like we have invested a lot of our time, resources, money, energy,
Hmm.
love. We have invested into our businesses, and we want them to grow efficiently, quickly, sustainably. And it's like this, highway mode where we are just, we're
Hmm.
just flowing, and it's just all happening. But in essence, as we mentioned, it's not like that. There are going to be times where, things slow down, but it's lovely that you said what you said. I mean, said a lot of wonderful things, but I especially love that correlation to, working at a job and, doing your thing. And, at that time, that growth might be slow, but it's still happening. And it's, again, putting us into that position as business owners and saying, okay, it's not all about me. It's not all in my control, but let me do my job. Let me do my part and do it with grace and do it from the inner peace and, that sense of being connected. And in that way, it's not going to, again, drain us. What happened to many of us, right? That we got into that phase of burnout and just feeling empty and uninterested for our business. I had this phase in my life where I was like, I cannot think about my business anymore. Like, I don't wanna, like, leave me alone. It's like a toxic relationship, right? Like I want to, kick that boyfriend out of the house. Or like, I don't
Yeah.
care about you. Still, that's again just a phase. And it doesn't mean that you have to go back and do a job or whatever. It might be like, again, if that is aligned to your own soul, if that is aligned to your heart. And in my work, I'm also noticing it's the connection between the gut feeling, the deep wisdom that is in our bodies, the heart, which is passionate and open and in love, right, with all of humanity, and the mind that is really rational, operational, analytical, right? But it's the combining of all
Mm.
three of those.
Hmm.
And then when all three of those brains, which are really brains in neurology and
Hmm.
human
Hmm.
biology, they have neurons, both the gut, the heart, and the brain. When we connect those three, we can really then, as you said, uh, make the decisions that are good for us and for our business and for our
Hmm.
clients and for literally, right, everything and everyone. But if we're operating from only one of those, I know that for some time I
Wow.
operated only from my heart.
Yeah.
And I forgot about my
Hmm.
operational bit and strategy. And I was, I
Hmm.
will just flow. I will be this bubbly, airy, feminine creature, even though I'm connected to God. God is telling me what I'm supposed to do. Okay, cool. That's important, right? That's crucial. Nice. But we need to put it into the material
Hmm.
world. We have to put it
Yeah.
into physicality and create certain steps and create certain systems, right? So it's really the blend, and the gut feeling for me is mostly connected to human connections, like that sense when, I should connect with someone or I shouldn't, that impulse, that instinct that is telling me,
Hmm.
oh, this is
Yeah.
for you, or it's not. Like, it's cool. It can be the best thing ever. And it could be the best person ever, but it's not resonating with me, and that's fine. And just letting that go, with more precision. So I really love that. I mean, and now as we are talking, I really realize that it's actually about that synergy of those centers and bringing that all into the entrepreneurship. And I also remember now that you mentioned on one of the networking events, I'm not sure on which one, but you mentioned that there was this particular inner work that you did. It was like a session, I think, or like a therapy kind of that you did. And this particular inner work really transformed. It really helps you pivot now and come
Yes.
into this phase you're in. Yeah. Would you
Hmm.
like to share a little bit about that? Go ahead.
Sure. So it was two sessions, and it was I don't know the technical name of it. She has a special name for it, but basically the first session was removing my limiting beliefs on a subconscious level. That was the first one.
Mhm.
She called it kind of like wiping the slate clean,
Ah,
right?
okay.
Those things that have been going on with my subconscious mind that I wasn't even aware of. And it was really powerful because there were things that I had been holding on to since childhood that
Yes.
I didn't even know were affecting me now, right? As far as how I was moving in my business. And then immediately after that session, I felt so much lighter.
Mm.
I had the space. And I think that is really key for a lot of us, especially nowadays. We don't have the space. You know, we hear all the time, oh, you're not, like I mentioned earlier, not working hard enough, you're not motivated and you're not disciplined. That's not always the case. Do we have the space? You know, oh, I want to make $20,000 next month. Do you have the space for that $20,000? What that
Mm-hmm.
looks like, what that means, right?
Mm-hmm.
Maybe it's something you've been wanting to accomplish for a year and you haven't done it. Maybe because you don't have the space to hold it, not physically hold it.
Yeah,
You know,
literally.
even accept that. And the second section we did was it's called identity installation.
Mm-hmm.
So whatever it was that I wanted to embody, she rewired the neural pathways for that new identity. And that one was different than the first section because it was more of subtle changes. It's
Mm-hmm.
more on the, yes, she rewired the neural pathways. It's more like energetic work, because what happens is you become kind of a magnet for
Yes.
the things that you know want to receive. And for me, I noticed like how I was showing up was different. People were receiving me differently, but at the same time, just specifically for the things we worked on, I was no longer second guessing myself.
Mm-hmm.
I
Mm-hmm.
just do things, you know, just go find the solution for whatever it was. And again, that emotional neutrality. Okay. You want to go to Jeddah? Okay.
Sweetie. Yeah, sure.
Yes. So that was a huge part of it, developing that emotional neutrality towards things. Doesn't mean that
Mm.
everything is perfect, you know, but being able to handle things differently
Yes.
and um, just feeling more solid about who I am and what I'm doing. That was really helpful. So
Mm.
anyone who's been in, you know, kind of that cycle where you're trying to accomplish something, you really want it, but you just can't get there. Sometimes it's actually you fighting yourself subconsciously.
Yes. Mm. Yes.
You know, you on the outside consciously, you're doing all the things, but you're not getting there because you won't allow yourself to get there on a subconscious level. So
Mm.
I think it's something, you know, you should definitely look into. Whoever's listening, if you've, you know, experienced that, not being able to get where you want to get in spite of doing all the things. So very
Mm.
powerful work.
Yes, yes, definitely. And again, it's as you were talking, I am realizing, right? It's um that inner work, I mean, the inner state actually that we have, like what is going on between the different bits and parts and pieces of ourselves, right?
Hmm.
Are they in conflict or are they in harmony and communicating clearly between each other? That directly reflects into our life, but in our business as well. It reflects into all of the business operations, and as you said beautifully, how people perceive us, how they are, because it's all energetic, really. Like when we connect to someone, we might not know at the very beginning like what they exactly are doing, what is exactly their offer, but still we either are magnetically drawn to them or not. It's like this really pull and push and pull dynamic in a good way,
Yeah.
in a natural way.
Hmm.
It's like, yeah, this is something interesting. This person is interesting. Let me see deeper. into what is there, and then we go into exploration, or we don't, or it's instantly, it's like, no, okay, next, it's not for me.
Yeah.
And we do that unconsciously. We just operate like that as humans. And so really embodying the identity you want to embody, right, it's also a never-ending process, and we are always transforming. But at the point where you are now, at the point where I am now, like, I know, we all know, is this in sync with what I want or not? And if we really ask ourselves that question, like what I'm doing, what I'm creating, my offers, the way I'm presenting myself, is it in sync? Is it in harmony with what I desire, with what I feel in my body and my bones that I am here to bring right now? If that is not, in sync, it's not a huge problem. Like, it's all fixable, it's all solvable. But that's an invitation to go deeper, as you beautifully did, and see what's going on in your subconscious, which is more than 70% or even 80 of our consciousness. There's just a little tip of an iceberg is our conscious mind that is making the decision, or thinks that it makes decisions. Maybe just acting upon decisions that are made in the subconscious.
Right.
And the rest is really, yes, our unconscious, our subconscious. And that's why for me as well, the somatic work, the work with the body, is so important. And that's something that we focus on in the membership as well. Because the unconscious, the subconscious is in the body. It's, below the head. And as we connect more and more with our body, in a sense of awareness, but in a sense of presence as well, we kind of inhabit our body more and more. And it's literally like you being in your living space, and your body is your first living space. And then, seeing, oh, this needs to be decluttered, right? I need to get rid of this because it's no longer in alignment with me. I don't need it, or it's burdening me even. And now I have this, as you said, free space. I have space to now, new beautiful things, new wins, new money and opportunities, relationships can come in, and now that's the process that we are doing all of the time. But there are some breakthroughs. I mean, I had my breakthrough last year, and it was a really humbling moment. And at that point, my ego was really confused, and, being a drama queen all over the place, being like, let's go, because I really had the structure in place, but it wasn't resonating with me, number one, and it wasn't resonating with my people. And I knew it. I knew that, but it was so polished. It was so like these offers, everything. It was
perfect.
so perfect. Yeah, picture perfect. And I knew in my body, I knew that's not right. Something is not aligned here. And I, of course, avoided to admit that for a while. And I was just grinding and doing my thing. Yeah, it's just supposed to just be there and things will start moving. But
Be
sometimes
visible, be consistent.
Yeah, you feel that you are it's not the right path, or it's not formed in a right way. And at that point, I have these phases in my life where I call it a little cave, where I isolate myself a little bit just to connect to my energy, because my energetic body is like a sponge. I actually, attract and I infuse myself subconsciously with energies of other people that are around me. So I need sometimes to be a little bit isolated. It's not long, but just to feel myself better. And as I was there, I realized, like, yeah, this is not the path, right? I don't know for sure what the real path is, and this is that humbling moment. I do not know all of the steps. I don't know if it will work or not, but it really feels exhilarating, peaceful. It feels wonderful to me. I can feel in my body, like, yeah, that's where I want to be. It's like a destination when you go and you want to travel somewhere, and you are looking and searching, and then you see this one destination, and it's like, oh, I already see myself there, right? I can feel myself, I'm there, it's happening. And this pivot in business was like that for me. And as soon as I created that first step, it was minimal. It was like this little thing of, I don't know, changing my branding a little bit. It was really, really so small. the minute I did that, the avalanche of support, of visibility, of opportunities, it just rushed in, and I was shocked. I was like, it was literally me unlocking, right? Unlocking that reality. And suddenly it was all there. Like, you have the infrastructure, here is the platform where you will launch, this is, the support system, here is your mentor, here is your everything. Come on, is this happening? Right? It was really, really confusing to my mind, because the mind thinks that we have to work very hard and, very long in order to have some results, and then again work very hard to keep them, etc. While, as you mentioned at the beginning, the level of consciousness we are on right now as humanity is elevated. It is different. And there are different rules now. We now literally work with laws of the universe, and we can, create magic, literal magic, like miracles happening, people coming in from, different places, buying things, getting involved, right? Without us doing so much work. Like, there is still work, there is still effort, like I still work, right? I still do invest my energy and time, but it's different. It's really a cooperation with the spirit and with the physical, and it's bridging those two and playing. It's mostly really playing and following your big why, and letting things happen, as you said, magnetically, letting people come to you, letting people discover you. And it doesn't have to be this hustle and grind and process we were in. So we can really use the potential that is in the consciousness of the humanity right now. We can really use it and actually plug into that and see that, yes, this is now the era of, again, that fully embodied leadership. Yes, where we are fully ourselves in our business and in our lives, where nothing is left aside, like, oh, this part of me is not so important. Oh, I don't have to show my gifts right now. Oh, no, it's like all of you, right? all of your genius, all of you, shine brightly, shine bright like a diamond. It's that phase. And at the same time, really, as you beautifully also explained, navigating the relationships and the operations. It's such a beautiful topic. I mean, this is so satisfying.
Yeah. Yeah, so many directions this can go.
I want to pick one. I'm also like, we have spread, the story.
Yeah, but that was the intent, right? Just kind of see where it goes.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
What advice would you give to anyone who is listening right now as we wrap up here?
The one advice I feel strongly in my heart and in my gut right now is, I'm going to connect it with what you said. It's really trust yourself and learn to trust yourself from day after day, from miniature little tiny steps to the big decisions, and exercise this literally. Like, I'm in that phase as well, really practicing that self-trust, really rooting deeply into it, and understanding what is often the part of the therapy when we go into that moment when your therapist says no one is coming to save you, which is often the breaking point for many people, especially I mean, I had histories of trauma, so I can relate to that. But at that point, it's really, yes, understanding that you are in charge. Yes, you are. You are the responsible one, just like the parent is responsible to children. Like, it is that relationship, and your business is that entity. We can call that the energetic entity, the being. Your business is like a living, breathing being. Actually, it's not a concept. That it has its own needs and its own way of development. And your part there is to be the nurturer, the one that is taking care of it, the one that is gently guiding it, right? That is really the parent, quote to quote, right? And self-trust then brings you back into that responsibility and gives your power back to you. So instead of giving your power to mentors, coaches, trends, algorithm, right? Many things and beings we can give our power to. practice the self-trust, because it will bring your power back to you. And from that state of mind, body, and soul, you will make, again, aligned decisions that are really juicy and good and delicious for not only you, but everyone, right? Because I believe firmly that our businesses, especially the ones we are leading right from the wholeness of ourselves, that those businesses really are playing a very important role in the development of humanity in general, in the development of this existence, right? So no pressure, but we have a responsibility, right? We have a responsibility. What
Absolutely.
we bring out, how we actually choose to lead ourselves is important. And just practicing the self-trust, and also combining that with your well-being and taking care of yourself. Because again, without that, as you said, everything just falls. It's not sustainable. It just, cannot live fully and cannot develop fully. Because if you are a mess and drained and tired, and your basic needs are not, satisfied, it really, it cannot grow. So yes, I'm also inviting everyone, of course, to check the membership and see if that's something that can support you. Because essentially it is there where we are building all of this. Everything we just mentioned here in this podcast episode is what we are bringing into actuality through that membership journey. And activating finally that inner genius, that uniqueness, that unique power, right, that we all have. And then it does its thing. It's magic. I mean, it sounds a little bit woo-woo when I'm talking about it, but like things open up, opportunities come in, you magnetize what you need, and it all happens in this beautiful, beautiful harmony. So yeah, what about you? What would you love to share for the end?
That was lovely. So I would piggyback a little bit off of what you said, and we don't need to know the how. It's easy to get caught up in, well, how am I going to do this? How am I going to find my people? How am I going to sell this? How? We don't need to know all that. That
Mm.
doesn't mean you shouldn't have a plan, but I think a lot of times we can get caught up in our heads on that how. So
Oh.
much so that we talk ourselves out of just taking the action.
Mm.
Because then all the fears and the doubts and the contingencies and the what ifs come up. And then you end up not even pursuing that thing at all, which can look like busy work, right? Or,
Mm-hmm.
being impulsive and just kind of taking action that deep down is misaligned with that thing that you said that you want, and just kind of going through that cycle again. So, not obsessing about the how. And it goes back to what you said about the trust,
Mm.
that knowing it's going to work out. And if we look at the examples of, some of the people you mentioned earlier in entrepreneurship, they kept going. They didn't have it all figured out, but they had a
Mm.
vision, and they stayed that course, and it worked out.
Mm.
So it doesn't have to be
Yes.
any different for you, and it won't if you trust yourself. So
Yeah. Woo.
full circle.
Beautiful. Yes. Thank you, Sutton. This was so, so beautiful. I see that now we are almost like an hour in conversation. It's really just flew by.
Yeah,
It was so
it
potent,
really
so
did.
incredible. I would love to, of course, continue these conversations if you are open and willing, and go into it deeper. And I'm inviting everyone who is listening, inviting you to post your questions, right? Say, what would you like to hear more about? And maybe share even some of your own impressions, your own experiences related to everything we shared here. We would love to hear from you, connect with you, and of course, support each other. How can people find you, Sutton? What is the best way? Is it on Facebook or where?
The best place to find me is on LinkedIn. The only one named Sutton C. McCraney on there, so pretty easy to find. And again, if you are looking to step up into your leadership, what that looks like for you, so you can really lead and be who not only your business or your company needs you to be, but also your family and your relationships. because again, this is going to change your entire life. So if you're looking for that kind of support, please reach out to me. I have my Leadership Off the Beaten Path retreat that's coming up in November. If retreat is not something you're ready for, still reach out to me anyway. I can meet you where you are at. So would love to have that conversation.
Beautiful. Yes, and all of the links will be in the description, so you can explore and get in contact. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you. It's been great.